Welcome back to the Zelda Game Club, and this is where we play through Zelda games together as a community, and we have reached Link's Awakening, the first Game Boy outing for the Legend of Zelda series. Well, this is part 2 of a 3-part series, and today we're going to tackle the middle 3 dungeons of the game, plus talk about the characters we meet and items that we collect along the way. But before we get into it today, part 3 is going to release on Saturday the 8th of April, so get your comments to me on this video by Friday the 7th of April. So part 3 is going to be the final part of the Zelda Game Club for Link's Awakening. Going to play through the Eagle Tower, Turtle Rock, and finally the Awakening. So if you'd still like to get involved in the Game Club, then start playing right away, get through as much as possible, and comment your thoughts related to Link's Awakening down below on this video. Without further delay, let's dive back into Link's Awakening and pick up from where we left off after Key Cavern. So once we finish up Key Cavern and make our way outside, our owl friend pays us a visit once again and checks in on our progress regarding collecting our instrument. So he says we have to collect all of them and play a song in front of the windfish to wake him up. That is going to help us escape the island. Well, talking about musical instruments, our next stop is to go back to Mabe Village and pick up a very famous instrument in the context of the Zelda series, and that is the ocarina. So there's some rocks preventing us from going into the building north of Mabe Village. So now we've got the power bracelet, we can remove the rocks and enter the building. Well, there's a bed in here, and you have to jump in and fall asleep, and you wake up in what appears to be a cave with several arm mimics guarding the place. We can get to them by using the Pegasus boots, and you make your way around, picking up the rupees, then opening up the chest for the ocarina. So once we've got this, we can leave the Dream Shrine, go back to Mabe Village and have a chat with Marin in the town square, and she will teach us a song, and this is the Ballad of the Windfish. Well, next up we want to make our way east to Animal Village, so we have to travel across Koholint Island, find a staircase under a bush near Seashell Mansion, then travel underground to re-emerge on the other side. Once you're on the surface again, head southeast, and you're going to find yourself at Animal Village. Well, Animal Village is fairly small, but it is full of interesting characters, although we are looking for the bear, and he's run out of honeycomb, and it just so happens that we got some thanks to the trading sequence. So trade in the honeycomb for the pineapple, and then the bear says there's a massive walrus is blocking our entrance to the desert, which is where we need to get get that angler's key for the next dungeon. So we've got to make our way back to Mabe Village to find Marin. However, she's not where she usually is in the town square. She has gone to the beach. So make your way down there and you're going to find her, and you'll be treated to a cutscene. So this is a nice story with Marin wondering what it's like beyond the seas. She wants to soar with the seagulls so she can explore the lands beyond the ocean, and after telling you about her hopes and her dreams, Marin then follows you. So make your way back to the walrus that was blocking the way, and Marin is going to sing a song. The walrus is going to wake up and then jump into the sea, then you are free to explore the desert. Marin says she's off to hang out with the animals, but you can always check in with her later. Okay, let's go to the first community comment of the day from Master Knight DH. So, Master Knight says, well, then we get to the date with Marin, which requires giving the honey to Chef Bear as a check of making sure Key Cavern has been beaten first for that progress, so Tarin won't appear by the beehive before. We do get to see the game involving interesting little touches with the aesthetic, some of which involve Marin being a little bit cheeky. So after the date is more gameplay, and what is around for the most part before the face shrine is fairly standard fare, with bosses that don't really fare well against players who know what they're doing, although the nightmares involved the anglerfish, the slime eel, as well as the armless knight in the ancient ruins, do have shock factor to their names. It's at least great that the DX version did patch out a way with the Angler's Tunnel to brick and involve save, and the Iron Mask have the same good bad bug with hit registration that Helmosaurus did in A Link to the Past. I had to check him only being vulnerable from the back. Learning that the hookshot works on the Goombas is also nice. Well, thank you, Master Knight. Good comment there. I do think that date with Marin is a high point for the game so far, and to get a Game Boy cutscene, that is pretty special. I didn't know about the Angler's Tunnel bug that brick saves, and that would be awful, especially given that is about halfway through the game. Also, I do want to clarify that Master Knight DH is a no damage runner and not a speed runner, as I mentioned in part 1 of this series, so that's my bad, and I do thank you for your comments, Master Knight DH. Okay, back to the game. We've got Yana Desert, so next up we want to explore the desert, and we are looking for the mini-boss Lanmola. This is a worm-like boss battle on quicksand, and be careful not to fall down the middle. But once you do beat the Lanmola, then it will drop the Angler key, and now we've got the key to the next dungeon. We need to find the entrance, so head back to Mabe Village, and we want to make your way northeast. You will need to open up the dungeon with the key, but you're going to find that keyhole in front of the waterfall. However, you still can't get to the dungeon. You have to find your way through the Telltale mountain range, and then drop down. Okay, so make your way back west and north, and you're going to find your way through the mountain caves to get to the Angler's dungeon. On your way there, though, you're going to need to trade the pineapple for the hibiscus with Papal, and he's super hungry, given he is lost in the mountains. So trade that pineapple with him, and he'll give you the next item in the trading sequence, the hibiscus flower. So after you've done this, go east and jump off the ledge to enter that dungeon. Okay, our next dungeon is the Water Dungeon of Link's Awakening. So this is one of my favourite dungeons in the game, and the item in here are the flippers, so that allows Link to swim in deeper water. Much like Rock's Feather from earlier in the game, this also allows Link to freely travel around the island once you are outside the dungeon. But an interesting point about the flippers, they are automatically equipped rather than an equipable item, which is different to other items in the game so far. Towards the midpoint of the dungeon, we've got a mini boss battle with Cue Ball, so its weakness is its head, and one way to beat this boss is to run around it with the Pegasus boots, then whack him in the back of the head, or you can jump over him with Rock's Feather. But once you've defeated Cue Ball, grab the flippers, then it's off to fight the main boss, and that is the Anglerfish. And this whole boss battle is quite interesting because it takes place in the 2D plane. And we've got the Anglerfish, it's pretty easy. You just need to hit the antenna coming out of his head and quickly strike him before he charges at you. Make sure you get out of the way if he charges at you, and then once he is defeated, pick up that heart container, and then you've got the fourth instrument, the Surf Harp. Okay, now we have finished the Angler's Tunnel dungeon, we can test out our new flippers and swim in the deeper waters of the island. So right outside the dungeon, go right and you're going to meet Mambo, and he'll teach you Mambo's Mambo, a new song for your ocarina. So with this, you can warp to various points on the map, plus you can warp to the entrance of a dungeon if you are inside. So if you want to easily get back to the start of a dungeon, you can do with one simple song on your ocarina. Okay, so with that new song in our inventory, it is now time to make our way to the next dungeon. However, you will have noticed a friendly ghost started to follow you. The ghost is lost and just needs some help getting home. You want to make your way to Martha's Bay, which is east of Torombo Shores. And once that ghost is home, he'll remember all of his memories, then he'll ask you to take him to his grave at the cemetery. You can either walk there or use Mambo's Mambo to walk to Mambo's Pond, and you'll get to the cemetery nice and quickly. So when you find the gravestone, lift up the rock that's in its way and walk to the grave, and then after the ghost has gone, our owl buddy will arrive once again and will say we need to dive into Martha's Bay to enter Catfish's Maw, and that is our next dungeon. But before entering the next dungeon, we can continue the trading sequence, so make your way to Animal Village to find the goat named Christine, and give her the hibiscus flower. In return, she'll give you the goat's letter for Mr. Wright, who lives near the mysterious forest, so make your way over to the forest, and it's just north, and you'll find Mr. Wright, give him the letter, and he'll give you the broom. Then you want to make your way back to Mabe Village and give the broom to Grandma Yahoo, and she'll give you the fishing hook. And now make your way back to Animal Village, exit to the west, climb into the water, swim around until you reach the bridge. Under the bridge you're going to find the fisherman, and trade the fishing hook for the necklace with the fisherman, and then swim to the middle of Martha's Bay and trade the necklace for the mermaid scale. Well, that is it for the trade sequence for now. Next we're going to tackle the next dungeon, that is Catfish's Maw. So to enter this dungeon, make your way back to Animal Village, leave via the west, head up, left, find some stairs that lead into Martha's Bay, and then swim down into Catfish's Maw. Dive underwater through the side-scrolling section, and you can enter the dungeon. Well, Catfish's Maw is a little bit different from other dungeons we've completed so far. This one is a little bit harder, a little bit less linear, plus you've got a mini-boss as well, and that is Master Stalfos. So here's a decent battle against the Master Stalfos, and here's a step up from the other dungeons. And the item in this dungeon is the legendary hookshot. Now, it's not only a great weapon for ranged attacks, but also allows us to get around the dungeon as well, and also the overworld out there in Koholint Island, allowing us to hookshot via chests or other items on the floor. So, it's always a game highlight for me when you pick up the hookshot, and Link's Awakening is absolutely no different. Well, the dungeon boss this time is Slime Eel. He can be a little bit of a pain to beat, creating 4 holes in the wall, then popping out of them at random. I do actually quite like the mechanics. Use the hookshot to pull the eel out of the hole in the wall, then slash at him to finish him off. So I do like the mechanics here. Normally his tail is sticking out of the middle and it's reaching round. You have to get Link right up against the wall to get out of the way of the tail. But when you pull him out of the wall with the hookshot, his tail goes with him. So it is a really nice piece of animation and also a nice little game mechanic as well. We'll finish up the boss, collect the heart container, then it is time to get the Wind Marimba. Okay, now we're done with Catfish's Maw, and we've got the hookshot, we can finish up the trading sequence of items. So when you get out of Catfish's Maw, get to the outside rocks of the dungeon and swim right and climb up the steps and head towards Animal Village. But instead of entering the village, keep going south. You can use the hookshot to cross the gap and you're going to find the mermaid statue. So put the mermaid scale on the statue and it's going to reveal a staircase. Waiting for you here is the magnifying glass, which allows you to see previously invisible people and enemies, plus you can read small text in books as well. So once you've got the magnifying glass, make your way back to Torombo Shores, near where you picked up your sword, and you're going to be able to blast that crack in the wall with a bomb. In that cave there is a secret Goria, and he'll give you something in exchange for an item. So the shovel is probably the best item to give him, and they will give you the boomerang in return, but you can always buy back the shovel for 300 rupees. Well, now you want to go back to the South Face Shrine, so make your way back to Animal Village and then go up to the right. So our owl friend is back. He says there's 2 shrines nearby, North and South Face Shrine. First of all, we want to make our way to the south, so go east and you'll find the ancient ruins. There's a maze here and it's full of statues. If you touch them, they'll come alive and they will try to kill you. So make your way through the maze, you're going to find that South Face Shrine. Okay, once you enter, you'll find the Armos Knight, and he'll try and jump at you, causing the ground to shake and stunning Link. Therefore, you want to use Rock's Feather to stay off the ground and jump and attack him. A good method of attacking is a charged up spin attack, so defeat the Armos Knight is going to drop the face key. Once you've done this, you can then light the torches and you're going to get a secret hidden message, and it says, "To the finder, the Isle of Koholint is but an illusion. Human, monster, sea, sky, a scene on the lid of a sleeper's eye. Awake the dreamer and Koholint will vanish, much like the bubble on a needle. Castaway, you should know the truth." Well, this is where we discover that Koholint is a dream, or is it? Only the windfish knows, as our owl friend says. He also says not to worry, but what about all the people on the island? What happens to them when when Link wakes up? Well, certainly something to think about for the latter part of the game, but now we've got the key. It's off to the Face Shrine, and for this we need to head north to the ancient ruins. Okay, the Face Shrine is the 6th dungeon, and this dungeon can be a little bit tricky, given the amount of whiz robes. It is split into 2 halves, with the western part of the dungeon the first section to go through, and then once you get the dungeon item, you go back to the east section of the dungeon and that opens up for you. So The item for this dungeon is the upgraded power bracelet, which allows Link to lift up heavier objects, including massive statues that we can throw through doors. There's some tricky switch blocks in this dungeon, which makes the boomerang a very useful item to have before you go into the dungeon. There's also a good amount of rupees in here as well, so if you're still saving for that bow, now is a really good time to stock up on rupees. Well, there's a fun mini-boss in the dungeon called Smasher. He's got a big ball, which he's going to throw at you, and you need to use the upgraded power bracelet to pick it up and throw it back. Facade is the main boss. Essentially, a face in the floor. He's going to throw tiles and pots at you, as well as open up holes in the ground. The way to damage him is to place bombs on the floor. It's fairly easy as bosses go in the game. Only really the main issue is running out of bombs, but look out for the hovering bombs in the dungeon, as when you collect these you're going to get 10 bombs, rather than the single bomb found under pots, which will only give you 1. Bomb Facade's face a few times, defeat the boss, pick up the heart container, and then you've got the 6th instrument, and that is the Coral Triangle. So before dying, Facade gives you a chilling warning about the fate of the islanders if you wake the windfish, and to be honest, it is one of the best moments in the game so far. Okay, back to a community comment, and again from Master Knight D8. So Face Shrine is hands down my least favourite dungeon in Link's Awakening. First off, the Wizrobes have been overbuffed from the rejects that they were in A Link to the Past, now being intangible to the sword, and even forcing the usage of bombs or a bow to finish off the last one in a given room, even though the hookshot does at least stun them, allowing to deal damage on other Wizrobes in the room, but this method just adds to tedium. At least dungeon item can be attained early enough, but that happens to be the level 2 power bracelet, and some of the mess involved with it can be inane. So speaking of grabbing things, there's also the chest knights, which I swear their involved mechanics are distorted by randomness, when the only thing I can find to search what guides have to say is about how apparently this got fixed in the Switch version. Meanwhile, flying tiles come back just to be as easily deterred by rapidly swimming the overbuffed sword while in a corner. Smasher is capable of being an irritant, and the level in general just drags on with a few moments of cheap design in the mix. Although Master Knight does add needing to throw a pot at the chest with a nightmare key to open it is still a moment of levity, thanks to the nearby owl statue, and the Facade throws clutter in any attempt to speedrun him. Well, yes, I would agree, Face Shrine is a little bit of a pain in the ass. Wizrobes are plentiful, the chest knights are frustrating, and really can cause you to stand there throwing them against the wall for minutes at a time. Although I do agree, it is pretty funny to have to throw a pot against that chest to get the nightmare key. But next up, I want to go some development notes and talk about the release. So, to support the North American release of Link's Awakening, Nintendo sponsored a cross-country train competition called the Zelda Whistle Stop Tour. The event, which lasted 3 days, allowed select players to test Link's Awakening in a timed race to complete the game. The event was meant not only to showcase the game, but also the Game Boy's superior battery life and the portability, the latter of which was critical to the accessibility of a portable Zelda title. Well, in 1998, to promote the launch of the Game Boy Color, Nintendo re-released Link's Awakening, the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, and it featured fully colorized graphics, and it's backward compatible with the original Game Boy. The DX version also allows players to take photos of players after they visit the camera shop, and its owner will appear in certain locations throughout the game. A total of 12 photos can be taken, which can be viewed at the shop, or printed with the Game Boy printer accessory. Well, Nintendo later re-released DX versions on the Virtual Console for the Nintendo 3DS on June 2011. Then in July 2013, Link's Awakening DX was offered up as one of several Virtual Console games, which Elite Status members of the North American Nintendo Club could redeem as a free gift. And a high-definition remake was developed by Grezzo and released for the Nintendo Switch on the 20th of September 2019. Well, Link's Awakening was also included in a Zelda-themed Game & Watch console alongside The Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and that was released on November the 12th, 2021. Well, in terms of sales, in Japan, the game topped the Famitsu sales chart in 1993. In North America, it was the top-selling Game Boy game in August 1993, and Link's Awakening sold well and helped boost the Game Boy sales 13% in 1993, making it one of Nintendo's most profitable years in North America up to that time. The game remained on a bestseller list for more than 90 months after release and was re-released as part of the Player's Choice series and went on to sell 3.83 million units by 2004. The DX version sold another 2.22 million units, and the Virtual Console release of Link's Awakening DX was the top-selling downloadable Nintendo 3DS game of 2011, selling over 338,000 units, or an estimated 2.3 million in gross revenue. Well, I hope you enjoyed those interesting facts about Link's Awakening, and that is it for part 2 of the Link's Awakening Zelda Game Club. So the Zelda Game Club for Link's Awakening Part 3 is going to release on Saturday, the 8th of April, so do get your comments about the final parts of the game by Friday, the 7th of April. Now, Part 3 is going to be the final part as we play through Eagle Tower, Turtle Rock, and also The Awakening as well. Well, let me know in the comments what you think about Link's Awakening so far, and let me know what you think about the Zelda Game Club. And that is it for part 2 of Link's Awakening for the Zelda Game Club. And as always, thank you so much for watching or listening. For more Legend of Zelda content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to Triforce Times. Or you can check me out on Twitter at Triforce Times. Well, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, you can check out the other videos on the channel. Well, thanks again, and I'll see you soon.